NDP leader Marit Stiles is announcing the Clean Up Corruption Act at Queen's Park. Let's listen in live.
Insiders above everyday Ontarians. We've seen scandal after scandal. In fact, this government had to walk back 2 of its signature policies because of the work we have done as a team to expose how deeply corrupt their actions have been at every step. We've filed complaints to the Integrity Commissioner that led to the resignation of a senior cabinet minister. We filed for audits that painted a troubling picture of the Greenbelt corruption. And we're confident that we have barely scratched the surface. It's clear that there are serious loopholes in our integrity laws, and that this premier and his conservative buddies are taking advantage of that. From the Greenbelt to the Stag and Doe tickets, to nonsense housing policies that benefit insiders, to selling off our healthcare system. There is a serious accountability problem in our integrity laws, especially when it comes to preferential treatment. That's why my colleague MPP Glover and I will be introducing the Cleaning Up Corruption Act to restore trust and accountability here at Queen's Park. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, MPP Chris Glover.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marit. So I'm Chris Glover. I'm the MPP for Spadina-Fort York and also the critic for democratic reform. And the Cleaning Up Corruption Act is designed to strengthen our democracy by removing loopholes in current legislation and to try to prevent future scandals that undermine confidence in government. So with every decision, the government should be delivering the best result for the people, and the only criteria of what's in the best, the only criteria should be what's in the public interest. But so this bill does 4 things. It bans preferential treatment. It forces members to declare and recuse themselves from decisions where they have a perceived conflict of interest. It expands the investigative powers of both the Auditor General and the Integrity Commissioner, and it helps to prevent future scandals and restore confidence in the government. So the preferential treatment, it puts a ban on preferential treatment for companies that are applying for government contracts. And this is taken directly from the Federal Conflict of Interest Act. And I'll give you an example, Ontario Place. There have been a lot of questions about why did Therma get that contract. The timelines are suspicious. The Conservatives refused to release the details of the scoring that was used for the different applicants. There was no fairness monitor. There's no report on Therma's financing. They extended the deadline. The government extended the deadline, and one of the late applicants was Therma. They're giving a $450 million parking garage as part of the deal that apparently wasn't offered to other applicants. So there's enough evidence to suggest that the process was rigged and that Therma was given preferential treatment. So this bill will make it a violation of the Members' Integrity Act to give preferential treatment for a company bidding on a government contract. It also forces MPPs to declare a conflict of interest if a family member or a friend has business before the House. And I'll give you an example. I used to be a school board trustee, and when I was a trustee on the Toronto District School Board, there were 2 other trustees who had children who were teachers. So every time there was a decision about teacher pay, they had to recuse themselves. They had to declare a perceived conflict of interest and recuse themselves from any discussion, debate, or vote on teachers' pay. But MPPs are held to a lower standard than this, than the school board trustees. Let's see. And the Premier has been using this loophole in the Members' Integrity Act to excuse his personal connections that he has with developers and the involvement of these developers, and some of them were directly involved in the Greenbelt scandal. The Premier has never had to declare a conflict of interest in his dealings with his developer friends. He simply calls them friends. A declaration of perceived conflict of interest is what we expect from corporate boards and every Ontario government employee, except for MPPs. So clearly we need MPPs to be held to the same standard as other members of public boards. The other thing that this legislation does, it gives the Integrity Commissioner more powerful tools to conduct an investigation. The current standard is that the Integrity Commissioner can only begin an investigation or expand an existing investigation if an MPP requests it and if there are reasonable and probable grounds for an investigation. And for example, the Greenbelt investigation, the Integrity Commissioner, while he was investigating the Greenbelt, he came across the incident of the Las Vegas trip in which the minister paid cash for a trip, had a massage with a developer who had business before the legislature, but the Integrity Commissioner couldn't launch a secondary investigation into this trip. He had to wait for another member of provincial parliament to launch a complaint before he could start the secondary investigation. So the Integrity Commissioner needs to be able to launch his own investigations or to expand existing investigations, and that's what the Cleaning Up Corruption Act, one of the things the Cleaning Up Corruption Act would do. The other thing it does, it expands the definition of family. Currently, only a spouse and young children are defined as family under the Members' Integrity Act. This would expand it to include adult children, parents, and siblings. And so, for example, the donations at the Premier's daughter's wedding are not a violation of the Integrity Act because they were given to Ford's adult children. So this would change that. This legislation would change it. And it also would stop public entities from hiding documents from the Auditor General by claiming solicitor-client privilege. This is something that the Auditor General requested, and it happened when she was investigating Laurentian University. So in conclusion, the goal of the Cleaning Up Corruption Act is to promote public confidence in the government. In the last 15 years, we've had the Liberal gas plant, Orange, and cash for access scandals. And under the current Conservative government, we've had the Greenbelt, the MZO, and the municipal boundary expansion scandals. And all of these scandals undermine people's confidence in government. And these scandals are also bad for the economy because investors, when they're looking to invest, when they're bidding on a contract with the government, they're looking for a dependable, predictable business environment where they can invest. And if the rules keep changing because backroom deals are being made, then how can they trust the process? So under the current government, if you want a government contract...
Okay, we've been listening in to members of the NDP announcing the Cleaning Up Corruption Act at Queen's Park.